two very young girls, about 13, 14-year kind of, girls. They approached their coach, lady coach, and the physio that Mr. Braj Bhushan Singh people have approached them and told them to go at night to his room and all. And at that point of time, when Sakshi was running towards us, so we were running towards her, she was trying to come to us. This Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, some of the, stooges were standing there. उन्होंने उसको जाकर के कुछ डांटा. And she was literally into tears. She was not allowed to come to us and speak to us. PT Usha, she is just a puppet in the government's hands.
Mr. Chandrasekhar Luthra, senior sports journalist, is joining me. Thank you, Shekhar, for talking to me.
Always a pleasure.
Same here. So the Indian Olympic Association on Monday dissolved the ad hoc committee for wrestling. What they have said is that there is no further need for it to run the sport. This means that once again, Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh's camp in the Wrestling Federation of India will emerge as the ultimate power. Please explain to me the chain of events that led to this and its implication on the sport.
Prema, first of all, I think I never had any kind of doubt that this regime is going to continue their domination. For the simple reason, if government was serious, before coming to the what all happened and how and when, everything took place. But let me tell you, if this government was serious, they could have just dissolved the entire Wrestling Federation of India. By dissolving me, it was not like that they rigged the polls or they manipulated their votes or anything. No, they had domination in almost all the federations. When I talk about state federation, there are 2 votes from each state federation, and they had 50 votes. So out of 50, they had almost 43 to 44 votes, which was polled also to them. So in a way, they won it fairly, and squarely, obviously. And government was not at all serious about dissolving them. Government was not serious about removing Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. We can call it them goons or the officials or anything. But the point was there was large scale of sexual harassment cases. There were large scale of other kind of manipulation within the wrestling federation, and that's how they were continuing. So now coming back to what happened. Initially, if you remember 1 year back when they sat on dharna and government came up, in fact, our sports minister Anurag Thakur went there and sat on the stage with the wrestlers, Vinesh Fogart, Sakshi Malik, and Bajrang Punia. He told them clearly, yes, government is serious. We'll address your issues. By addressing issue was simply that they are going to dissolve the thing. But yes, you have to understand, they were only buying time, because that time there were few elections in some of the states. Once elections were passed, then obviously the same thing came back to square one. After that, when they again sat on dharna, again PT Usha, PT Usha. I mean, unfortunately, I had a lot of respect for this woman for what she has achieved during her life. But as an administrator, she is a complete failure. She is just a puppet in the government's hands. So in a way, PT Usha came, they formed an ad hoc committee. Then what happened? The ad hoc committee meant nothing. It was again the same Sanjay Singh, who is a Brij Bhushan Singh, stooge there in the federation. They were holding all kind of tournaments. They were holding tournaments in a way, qualification tournaments for the Paris Olympics everywhere. So when I told you that the elections were free and fair, obviously if you go through the electoral college and everything, you calculate, it was completely fair elections. So obviously, World Wrestling Federation, they recognize the same organization, the same group. Obviously, they'll go by the procedure that was adopted, and also if there are any irregularity, if there was any complaint. Obviously, there was no complaint. The complaint was only against Brij Bhushan Singh about the sexual harassment. The complaint was from the girls who have won so many medals, not just in the Olympics, but also at the world level, who were almost world number 1, world number 2, world number 3 when they started their dharna. Their their main complaint was that till the time Mr. Braj Bhushan Singh is there or his stooges are there, they cannot compete. They will be victimized. And also the younger generation, the younger girls, they were feeling threatened. We have seen one POXO Act, if you remember that girl who was below 18. She was forced so much, she was threatened so much. Her parents and her uncles were threatened so much, they withdrew their case. They were ultimately proved that she was adult and there was no wrongdoing whatsoever against in her case. So that was the kind of domination of Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. Now we have again come back to ground to square one. The same regime will continue. The same girls, if their parents allow, after all this, what has happened, if they allow their kids to be exploited and go back to the same coaching centers or coaching centers in the sense that under the same regime, then obviously they will continue. Otherwise, most of the girls, I have heard about 2 or 3 cases in Haryana where the parents of some girls, they have told them to follow some other sports and not the wrestling after what has happened. So this is very unfortunate, Prema. And I had no doubts that this will continue because Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh is a politically very heavyweight person in Uttar Pradesh. And now that the elections are only 1 month or 1.5 months away in UP, you cannot take chance, by removing him or by annoying him. So, unfortunate for these girls, I would say.
Yeah. Now, as you've said, and as we know, Sanjay Singh, who's a close aide of Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, he's got the rein in his hands to run the Wrestling Federation of India. And again, as you've said, let's not forget the seriousness of the allegations against the former chief Brij Bhushan, who has been accused of sexually harassing women athletes. Now, with his close aide holding the reins of the federation, what does it really say about wrestling as a sport in India and the government body that governs it?
If you are behaving or if you are treating your sports persons, especially the women wrestlers, like the way, they have treated Vinesh and Sakshi. Sakshi, don't forget, she was the first one to win a medal at the Olympics. I was there in Rio. And in fact, during that time, 2016, if you remember, there were only 2 medals. One was Sindhu, one was Sakshi. So it was only about women power that time. We went there with a lot of hopes from all our athletes, but we failed miserably. It was only Sakshi who saved the blushes for India. She won the first medal, and then a couple of days back, after that was Sindhu. If you treat your, medal winners like this, think about those girls, especially, those budding girls who are coming up, who are 15, 16 years of age, who does not come from a background like, Sindhu, I would say. They are from a very, very, poor background, not very well educated. They are not Saina Nehwals or Sindhus or, Sania Mirza. They are some, from one corner of Haryana or, Western UP or some other, backward areas. So they were coming with a hope to this wrestling that they are going to make some name like Sakshi or what Vinesh has done or the Fogart sisters had done. They had shown the path to them, and by winning some kind of medal, they could secure some job and help their parents. Coming out of all these poor backgrounds. So now what has happened, as I have told you, I've come across at least 2 or 3, young girls who have been told by their parents to pursue some other games, not the wrestling, because the kind of stories they have heard, they don't want their war to be exploited. They don't want them to be exploited by goons. I always call them goons. We heard in 20, I always forget the exact date, but there was a small story came from Lucknow. It was 2016 or a little bit earlier. When there was 2 girls, they complained to their coach and the physio that they have been called. 2 very young girls. About 13, 14 year kind of girls. They approached their coach, lady coach, and the physio that Mr. Braj Bhushan Singh people have approached them and told them to go at night to his room and all. There was a small story. We followed that story during that time. I was in DNA that time. And there was some inquiry or something, and matter was completely, brushed and under the carpet. And but later on, when we spoke to that physio came out in public. He said, yes, this kind of things happened. They came running, they were crying, and somehow we saved them, kind of, from that in that particular incident. So, I mean, if these kind of things are been happening, and when Sakshi or Vinesh have been telling you, yes, they have also faced the sexual harassment. Sexual harassment just can't be in one way. There are so many other ways. They are being exploited. When these kind of girls, medal winners, world champions, when they come and tell you, it is the duty of the government or the ministers or the prime minister who calls them the family members. If you remember, after Tokyo Olympics, when he called them for a tea party, he was telling Vinesh, you are part of my family. So it was a duty of prime minister or the sports minister to protect them. Unfortunately, that has not been done. Unfortunately, the future of most of these budding players from Haryana and all this, small cities, small towns, small villages, I think they will not be allowed to take up this kind of game. They'll be forced to go to some other game, or maybe where they are not well equipped or they can't afford, because wrestling is barehanded. You don't require any, expenditure. You just have to, wear your clothes and go there on the in the ring and wrestle. In other games, whether it's tennis, or any other game, you need a ball or a shuttlecock or racket or, any kind of equipment, which most of the people, they cannot afford in the small towns. So, and you have to also understand that most of your medals in Olympics, it was not Abhinav Bindra only once, or in boxing, that's also a very tough game, contact game. Wrestling, whether it was Yogeshwar or Sushil Kumar twice, or in at different levels, that has come in wrestling. Most of the medals, in fact, more than 50% of medals. And if you're treating them like this, only God can save
Hmm.
this game, at least.
Yeah. Now, all this also means that Sanjay Singh, again, he who's close to Brij Bhushan, would be deciding the rules related to the Paris Olympics and the future of Bajrang Punia or Vinesh, who have been at the forefront of protests against the WFI and its former president. What is expected in the coming days? What will come out of it?
It's like that. I mean, people don't realize that Sanjay Singh is nothing. We have seen in last 10, 11, 20, 12 years, ever since Mr. Brij Bhushan came into picture. Sanjay Singh is nothing, kind of karyakarta for their party and, all these people. It is only about one person. In all the sporting federations, whether it's Mr. Jaisha now, the other people don't count in cricket. The Roger Binney, for that matter, as a president of BCCI, means nothing. It was only about Jaisha. So you have to understand that Jaisha, by virtue of his, because he's from one family, that big family. But otherwise, people like Brij Bhushan Singh, Sharan Singh, they don't allow anybody else to flourish. And that's how they take complete control of the association. And anyone who does not agree with, their policies or their names or their, whatever they do, they just remove them. They don't recognize them. We have seen that in hockey earlier, or in almost all the games. So point is, who is Sanjay Singh? Sanjay Singh is nothing, a personal assistant of Mr. Brij Bhushan Charan Singh. So in a way, because when these elections were to happen, and we were all saying, or we were all crying that nothing will happen, the government kind of forced Mr. Brij Bhushan Charan Singh, put some pressure that don't let your son win, or don't let your son-in-law win. So instead of that, he allowed his another business partner. He's also a business partner, and he's a very, very right hand man of Brij Bhushan Charan Singh. So somebody else has come. So now, by proxy, Brij Bhushan is going to run the federation. If you don't touch his feet, obviously you are out. The situation is very bad at the ground level. And when you talk about, Paris and everything, you will see there will be very less, participation this time, because most of these athletes, I have no doubt that Vinesh, Bajrang and all, they will not be allowed to qualify there. They will somehow, and this is a contact sport. We have seen earlier also in Mary Kom cases, or in boxing or in wrestling, that you can do a lot of jugglery with the referees and all to make to disqualify, or not disqualify, to allow other to win against them. So I have no doubt that they will not qualify, number one. So what will happen? The experience at the international level, the Bajrang kind of, I have seen Bajrang fighting in Asian Games when he won the gold. I was there. We have seen Vinesh, how fierce she is, when she's there on the ring. Without their experience, I don't think you have much of the chances. If you win, if somebody else wins, congratulations. Obviously, we deserve to win medals. But overall, you have lost prospects of at least 1 to 2 medals in Paris.
Yeah, also, Shekhar, I want to know from you, why is wrestling as a sport in India tainted with so many controversies? Who needs to be blamed for this, and how did it all start? If you can give us a background on how this started. Was it just
1982.
Charan Singh,
No,
or
no.
did the taint start, way much before this?
You have to, as I said, now, who are these wrestlers? Most of them are not Saina Nehwals or Prakash Padukons or P. Gopichand. They are from a very, very humble backgrounds. In 1982, I remember I was in school that time, class 10th, I think, ninth, when first time, Satpal Singh, the great Mahabali Satpal, he won the gold medal at Delhi Asiad. And that time, the wrestling came into prominence. Before that, it was only Dara Singh, King Kong. We have heard about those names, but they were not the They were not the amateurish wrestlers in the sense. They were not participating at Olympics or Asian Games. They were WWF kind of wrestlers who were professionals, who were making money, and again doing their bit of contribution. So at that first time, it happened. So that time, I checked it also, and we also know there was no women wrestlers in India. I mean, even if they did not qualify, or it was not there, they were not participating. And next Asia, again, Kartar Singh was there. He won the gold. Again, there was so much of hype created in India about wrestling. So the effect of that hype was that most of the, lot of people from the humble background, they knew that they don't require any equipment. They don't require the jutas, or, any helmet or anything that their parents have to spend on. They knew they just need one knicker, not even knicker, that chaddi, and one t-shirt, and that's all it was required. Lot of people got into these akhadas. The akhadas were there since pre-independence, but these akhadas suddenly saw the grooming of so many upcoming wrestlers. There was akhadas in Delhi, adjoining Haryana, UPs, and also in that western side in Mumbai, near in Maharashtra and all. So suddenly they started producing a lot of people, and we got that prominence. And after that, there would always be some or the other people, whether we won medals or not, but our participation was there. And suddenly in 80s, I mean, not in, sorry, 80s, 2000, at the start of 2000, because of the Fogart, Mahavir Fogart's, his 3 daughters were there. He groomed them despite all the opposition from within his village. Suddenly this Gita Fogart, these all Fogart sisters, they came into prominence. And what happened in 2010 Commonwealth Games? We won the medal. Gita was a gold medalist. So suddenly these girls started coming up. And when they were at the threshold of making it big, so many girls, this controversy has happened. This has actually mean, you have to understand it from the point of view that I have covered them for so many years at the ground level. You could see their parents. Somebody is doodh la rahe hain, somebody is a driver, somebody is a somewhere cook there. They could not afford anything. They put their kids in academies, very small small places to live there, whether it's Chhatrasal or anywhere. And they were just getting doodh, milk, all this kind. so that their wards can actually, prepare themselves for the bigger moments. And in between, we were getting so many medals that this game was flourishing, and a lot of people were following their dreams. But suddenly, after this, I don't think much will happen to the men's wrestling, because again, as I've seen, we also know men could take this, all the insult or anything they could do, not in that way, but they could take insult to kiske पैर छूने हैं, नहीं करना है. But for the women, I think it is the most unaccepting thing for any family, whether you are from a poor family or you are from the Ambanis or Adanis. You cannot allow your girl to be exploited. You have to understand this, and that's what that effect is going into the masses there in the villages. We have been hearing stories that most of the people, they have asked their kids not to, especially the girl childs, not to follow this game till the time these kind of goons are there.
Now
So
you
again, I don't know whether government understands this or they only count votes. But the fact is, all our wrestlers, especially the women wrestlers, have been deceived by the government. Government was not serious about it. They were buying time. And when the time has come, when Brij Singh will again win them couple of, so many seats, or the Lok Sabha, or in the coming assembly seats, I don't think the government or anybody in the IOA, Indian Olympic Association, has the guts to tell Brij Singh to pack his bags. No way, he's going to continue. And even if when he goes, or if he retires or gets old, his son-in-law, his all these business partners and everybody are there in almost all the association, apart from 2 or 3 associations. They are going to dominate the scene for the years and years to come.
You put it so beautifully, Shekhar, especially when you spoke about, respecting women, and what is at stake for women. This also reminds me of, reading a quote of Sakshi Malik, who saw all these recent developments, and she said that the tradition of disrespect towards women will continue. Many more sports persons have come to the fore and are voicing their concerns with regard to the latest developments. According to you,
Prema, one more thing.
For the current
No, one more thing.
Yes.
When you spoke about Sakshi, I remember that, that moment. We were in Rio. Suddenly there was a fight at around, say, morning Rio time, about 10 o'clock. And because there was so much of gloom that time, we were not winning. Our shooters had lost, and everywhere. We were, for last 6, 7, 8 days, I think, or maybe a little bit more, we were only thinking, or, at night before you sleep, as a journalist, you mark tomorrow's event. I'll go this place or this place. There could be a chance, there. So suddenly there was a bout of Sakshi Malik. Sakshi Malik till that time was not a big name. She was the underdog. So we thought, yes, morning is there. Then after that, Sindhu's one of the matches are there, of Sindhu's initial matches. So we thought that maybe Sakshi ko skip kare aur jaye. But suddenly, because it was nearby to where we were staying, village. So it was just a walking distance, about 5-7 minutes. So we thought, ke chalo jaate hain, isko bhi haarte hue dekh lete hain, kind of, So we went there, and suddenly this bout started. There was so much of goosebumps. I can still
I'm
feel
getting
that.
goosebumps as
Suddenly,
you're talking
yes.
about it.
And suddenly she was winning. I mean, she was obviously, initially she was trailing. And when she won, suddenly there was an announcement, India have got first medal. So we were tweeting, we were sending all kind of messages to our offices. Obviously, it was a big event. So page 1 lead story will be mine in my paper. So there was, and we were running towards Sakshi to get her, not just photographs, but also one quote, how she's feeling. But she was the underdog completely. And at that point of time, when Sakshi was running towards us, there were very less journalists. Say if we were like 100 journalists from India, at that point of time, there were only 5 or 6 or 7 journalists there, because most of them skipped it. Okay, she was not their favorite one. So we were running towards her. She was trying to come to us. But instead of, praising her, usko shabashi dene ke, this Brijbhushan Sharan Singh, some of the, stooges were standing there. उन्होंने उसको जाकर के कुछ डांटा. And she was literally into tears. She was not allowed to come to us and speak to us. because they wanted their master to be there, to hit the headlines. And Brij Bhushan Singh, we refused to speak to him. We protested. We somehow forced them to bring in Sakshi, and with her teary eyes, she spoke to us. She was obviously little bit, at that
So
particular
Brij
moment,
Bhushan
jab
was
aapko
there.
khush hona chahiye.
He was there at
Yes, he
the
was
location.
there.
Okay.
He was there.
Hmm.
And during that games, because of Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, unke wrong calculation, and he could not actually foresee what they were doing. They were trying to put somebody else, because jab wo Nat Singh aur uska dope test was going on. Because of that fiasco, we lost one medal also. We went blank in that particular category of Sushil Kumar. So somehow nobody notices that. But the point is, even at that point of time, Sakshi was completely, I would say, insulted in front of everybody. And that was the moment of her career. Well, these kind of things I've seen. But
And
overall, if you are,
you saw her crying after winning this medal while she was.
yeah, she was literally into tears. Instead of celebrating, instead of running around with the flag, she was literally humiliated there at that particular time. We are at least 5, 6, 7 journalists are witness of that. But what to do? Because they are the masters. They are there to not just run the federation, but they are the like kings there. Their family will travel with Brij Bhushan Singh. Their all these stooges will be there. Putting in the 5-star hotels. We have seen that. All the government officials, all these federation people, they are the ones who rule Managi, who put a lot of money there, who
Yeah.
spend most of the money there, not the athletes.
Yeah. So, Shekhar, according to you, who is to be blamed for the current state of affairs of wrestling in India?
Look, I don't want to point out at Prime Minister or Anurag Thakur or all this. We all understand they are politicians. They have nothing to do with sports, or they have no interest in that. So I have no illusion about that. If I have to blame somebody, I'll blame PT Usha. Being a woman, being an icon, being somebody we have worshipped for so many decades. I still remember that moment when she missed with the Fisker, that bronze medal in Los Angeles, or I mean, she was a role model. We had so much of hope from her. We all knew that politicians are putting up there as a face, but we, as somebody who is so being respected and who cannot be dominated like this, she could have taken a stance at least. But instead, what had happened? What had happened when she came to that protest site, if you remember, all athletes said she was kind of threatening them that take this back, you are not going to get anything, kind of, She never took a stand. Being a woman, being a IOA, president, you have, or you say, nah, I resign. At least you'll be humiliated. This government or federations and all, everybody will be humiliated. That, see, Prakash Padukone had done that in badminton, if you remember. When he was trying to come up, he was challenged and everything. He just withdrew. He said, "To hell with you. If you can't respect somebody like me, I'm not going to be part of this federation." He was offered some, post there, but he refused. So you have to do that. P. Gopi Chand, if you remember, when he won 2002 or whatever, when he won the 2002, whatever, he won the All England Championship. At that particular time, he was offered to do a advertisement for a cola company, big company, and he was offered almost 1 crore rupees. At that point of time, 1 crore mean a huge deal for any non-cricketing person. He refused to do that because he took a moral stand that if I do that, most of the upcoming kids, they'll also start, drinking cola, which is harmful for them. I'm not doing it any juices ad, or I refuse to do that. So you have to take that kind of stance. But PT Usha has failed these women wrestlers, and I don't know how she'll go down in the history. But for me, she is no more an icon now.
My last question to you is, Shekhar, whenever a sporting body is linked to politics, then it invariably leads to controversies, like we've seen in the case of Brijbhushan Sharan Singh. What must be done to de-link sporting bodies from political control so that the sanctity of the sport can be restored? What, according to you, is the way forward?
When the Supreme Court case was going on for BCCI, if you remember, between 2014 and 2017, during that time, lot of things were happening, lot of observations were made, lot of cases were put in, that how a body should be run. So the common observation or the common thing was Justice Lodha. The original report of him was also that politicians is all right for any sport, because without politicians maybe you'll be struggle to get clearances, the money part, all these things. But during that time, lot of things were observed. There was lot of observation that how to run sports body. A common thing came out was that politicians are fine for any game. They are there to guide you, to get you clearances, to help you, in various ways, getting lands and all the government permissions, all these things. But finally, the selection part should be left to the former players or the coaches. And third thing, running the sports administration should be left to a professional CEO. Every federation, every sports body should have a CEO who runs the day-to-day affairs, which was followed in that spirit. There are CEOs now, there are selectors, but again, because these politicians are so powerful, they are so dominant, they don't let anything go out of their hands. In every selection matter, whether it's cricketing or anything, the list comes from the president's place or the secretary's home. So if these kind of interferences are there, then obviously the future of your kids are not secure. And especially in cases like this, where the goons are exploiting the girls, then obviously you cannot challenge them, because you are not the mighties of this society. You are from a downtrodden society. You are from a poor background, and their parents cannot come and
Yeah.
yeah, they cannot handle these kind of goons. So very unfortunate, but as I have said, we were doing so well in wrestling. We were actually the world power in wrestling, and especially in women wrestling also, we were coming up very fast. Very, we had so many medals at Commonwealth, at World Championship, at Asian Games, but I don't know how it will go down now, because could only be measured after 5 years or 4 years, because these kids are very small right now, 14, 15-year-old women, girls. It will only be seen after 4 or 5 years, maybe the next Olympic, how much participation is there, how much good competition is there amongst the wrestlers.
Thanks a lot, Shekhar, for talking to me. Thanks for your
Thank you very much. Thank you, Prema. Thank you.